Hi everyone, for today's video I'm going to be filming a full face of Urban Decay. I feel like Urban Decay is a very popular brand, but I've not really seen too many people do a full face of Urban, although Urban does most of the makeup steps really well. So I am going to be doing that today. I'm pretty excited. I was pretty much inspired to do this video because of their newest face product. This is the Stay Naked Hydromaniac Tinted Glow Hydrator, and I did receive this in PR. In 2020, I got on the Urban Decay PR list, and that was very, very exciting for me. I've been a very long time fan of Urban Decay. My very first eyeshadow palette was from Urban Decay, and that palette was the Show Pony palette. And the artist that did this packaging, I don't know why I never thought about how this was an artist who did the packaging. I always thought the artwork on the packaging was so cool, and that was like one of the reasons why I wanted it back when I was like a 6th grader in middle school. But like the colors were really awesome. But someone on my eyeshadow palette Declutter actually commented on the video and said that the artist's name was Kemi, and I actually followed her on Instagram after I found out that this was like, you know, a real artist doing real things. I don't know like why I never thought about that, but I hope to one day own a piece of her artwork to like put up in this beauty room or whatever beauty room I have in the future, because I just think that would be so cool. So one day I do want to own artwork from this artist. But yeah, Urban Decay has been a huge part of my makeup journey and my makeup collection and just my love for makeup. I pretty much use an Urban Decay product every single day, whether it is the all-nighter spray or an eyeshadow palette or their primer potion. But let's go ahead and get started because I really want to show you guys their new tinted hydrator. So in the tinted hydrator, they did send me the shade 50 Medium, which is a warm undertone. The 50 Medium Warm matches me pretty well, but if I was to go back and pick a different shade, I probably would go with the 51 Medium Neutral. I don't mind the warmth of this foundation, but I just usually suit neutral shades much better. One thing I really like about the product is the packaging itself. I love that it is not in a pump, so I can really control the amount of product that I get. And I am going to apply this product with a sponge. The sponge I'm using is from Urban Decay, but the only thing that sucks about this sponge is that you have to buy it in a duo pack with the all-nighter spray. I really wish that they sold it individually, and I know that if they one day do, I would definitely be purchasing it. It's probably my favorite sponge ever. It's just so nice and soft. And I love the flat, like blunt end, but then I really love this kind of curved, pointed end for up underneath of my eyes. It's just a perfect sponge and it's so soft. But back to the tinted hydrator. I think that the coverage of this tinted hydrator is actually pretty good. It is a bit more than your typical tinted moisturizer, but in addition to the coverage, I kind of feel like the glow that it gives sort of a blurring effect, which is kind of amazing, and it kind of makes me feel like this is also like a skin perfector. I've worn this tinted hydrator with and without powder, and I like both of those ways, which is really cool because I sometimes really like to skip powder and like not worry about it and just give my skin like a little bit of a break from powder. And even though I can get pretty oily and this foundation isn't like stopping oil from coming through, I feel like my skin still looks really nice and healthy and very smooth. So that is what the tinted hydrator looks like on my skin. I think that this looks so good, and this definitely has become a go-to for me since I got it a couple weeks ago. Before I move on to concealer, I did want to share with you guys that I do have the Urban Decay Stay Naked foundation. This replaced the Naked Skin foundation, which I spent a long time really loving. I am not sure why Urban Decay decided to replace the Naked Skin line with the Stay Naked. Considering the Stay Naked does have more coverage in it, I really wish that they would have kept it 2 separate lines. I even think that they could have done the Stay Naked and then Naked Skin as just 2 separate lines. Naked Skin, more natural, lighter coverage, thinner formulas, and then the Stay Naked kind of gives you the same thing, but it's like more of a long wearing foundation and long wearing products, I feel like it could have made sense to have both of the lines in their brand, but for some reason Urban Decay decided to get away from the Naked Skin and start Stay Naked. I do really like the Stay Naked line. This is definitely one of my go-to more full coverage foundations, just because it is sort of like that Naked Skin where it does look really natural on the skin, but it is a bit more full coverage and you do get a longer wear out of it. I did want to compare the shades that I have to the 50W Tinted Hydrator. So over here I have the shade 41NN in the Stay Naked foundation, and then on the other side I have the shade 50NN in the Stay Naked. 50NN is definitely what I would wear in the summertime, and then the 41NN is something that I would wear in the winter time. The 50W definitely is more warm toned than both of these neutral foundations that I have, but like I said, I still think it does work well for my skin. For my concealer today, and I know you cannot get this concealer anymore, which really bums me out. I think sometimes you can find this concealer at like a TJ Maxx or a Marshalls or something, but I do have the Naked Skin concealer. I did have the Stay Naked concealer and I wore it a lot. I have no idea where it is, so that's why I pulled out this guy. It's still Urban, but like it's like vintage Urban. You can't really get it anymore, but it is still an Urban Decay product, so I decided to just use this one instead. Oh my gosh, I miss this concealer, and it's definitely that perfect formula for kind of letting it sit on the skin for a moment, doing your brows or something, and then coming back in and blending it out. That is kind of how you would get more coverage out of it. I really shouldn't bother like kind of giving you guys a review on the concealer because you cannot get it, but that is just the concealer that I'm wearing today. But yeah, I do like the Stay Naked concealer. I wish I knew where it was. It might be at my parents' house or something, or maybe my sister has it. I wore that one quite a bit. It is a little bit thicker and a little bit more full coverage, but you can sheer it out by just applying a bit less of it. For my brows, I have the Urban Decay Brow Blade. I have the shade Neutral Nana. I'm not sure how I ended up with this shade. It is a little bit light for me. Maybe I got it from my work when I worked at Ulta for like gratis or something. It is a little light, but it still works pretty decent. The Brow Blade from Urban Decay is really nice. It is a double-ended brow product where you have your typical kind of pencil product on one end, and then you have a little brush tip on the other. And the brush tip is really nice. I never have issues with it kind of getting like a bit of a waxy tip like some other brow pens, but I am just using the little pencil end right now. That's actually not a bad shade. I actually think that looks pretty nice. Just going back in and filling in like a little bit more with the brush tip, but that's that, and I'm just going to brush my hairs up. I'm gonna brush the product through. We don't have a brow gel from Urban, but that's okay. I'm going to move on to my eyes. I am going to prime my eyes with the Urban Decay Primer Potion, a big classic, probably one of the best eyeshadow primers you can get, and it has been for many, many years. I've sold so many of these eye primers to so many people. I remember when the big thing was the Too Faced Shadow Insurance versus the Urban Decay Primer Potion, and I was always a Primer Potion girl. So yeah, I was from the beginning, and I still am a Urban Decay Primer Potion user and lover. I definitely feel that Urban Decay Primer Potion makes a huge difference. You know, these days you don't have to worry so much about the intensity of the eyeshadows because eyeshadows these days are so intense. You get a lot of, you know, intensity just from the shadow alone. So, you know, back in the day that used to be a concern where the Primer Potion did enhance the intensity of your shadows, but you don't really need that aspect anymore. What the Primer Potion really does a good job at still is keeping your shadows lasting all day and crease proof. Sometimes, you know, when you're wearing your eyeshadow for super duper long, it's not going to be completely crease proof. You will get a little bit of creasing throughout the day, but it really does make a difference with like how much creasing you get and how much longer you can get out of your eyeshadow. So yeah, I think personally it does make a big difference in the longevity of your eyeshadow. I have quite a few different palettes from Urban Decay. I'm not going to use all of these today, but I did just want to kind of run through the ones that I have. The first palette I have is Naked Heat. This is like your ultra warm tone, kind of like red leaning, orange a little bit leaning warm tone palette. It's so gorgeous. This used to be my super duper go-to. I would get a lot of like matte looks out of this and a lot of like pops of shimmer, very nice like burnt eyeshadow looks. I love this palette a lot. So this is a great fave, but this is the only Urban Decay Naked palette that I still have. I used to have all of the Naked palettes, Naked 1, Naked 2, Naked 3. I used to have Naked Smoky. I got rid of them. I just don't use them like I used to, but I do have the Naked Ultraviolet, although I don't really know why they considered this to be like a Naked palette, but the Ultraviolet is really pretty. I just personally haven't gotten a lot of use out of it. Moving on to like a bit of an older palette, this is the Urban Decay Born to Run. I still think that this is one of Urban Decay's best palettes. It's so versatile. You can get so many different looks out of this. I think their purpose for it being like a Born to Run palette is that this is supposed to be like the only palette that you need. You can go traveling with it. You can get whatever look you want out of it. You can get a nice everyday look. You can get a nice smoky eye look. You can get pops of color. You can get like a rainbow eye. You can do all sorts of things with this palette, and it's also not too big, and they made the packaging really nice and slim so it can easily fit in like a travel size makeup bag. It is a bit like wide, but you know, I still think that you could probably fit this in like a little travel toiletry bag. But yeah, Born to Run is amazing. And then this is a little bit of an older palette, the Urban Decay Moondust palette. I love the Urban Decay Moondust shadows. I feel like the fine glitter pressed shadows they do them so well. A lot of brands don't get it right, where their texture might be a little bit too thick and too chunky. Urban Decay gets it so right. The Moondust shimmers and glitters in these shadows just go on so smoothly, and they look very, very beautiful. So I am a big fan of this palette. I kind of wish that they came out with some like variations of this palette so we can get different shades and stuff. But yeah, Urban Decay Moondust shadows are great. I have some individual ones as well. But then Urban Decay last year came out with their Stoned Vibes palette. I believe this was kind of their holiday collection. What I really like about Urban Decay is that they don't come out with holiday collections anymore. They come out with a collection around the holidays that kind of remains a bit permanent. Some products are not permanent in the collection, but like for example, their Stoned Vibes palette is a permanent palette as far as I know. Last year they did the Naked Honey, which is a permanent palette. So I think that's really cool that Urban Decay does that. I kind of don't love like limited edition collections anymore. I just think it's like a little bit silly. I get like maybe having like a special limited edition lipstick or something like something for a celebration or something, but holiday collections, I'm just so over them. We've seen them every year. It is very hard to do something new at this point, but I feel Urban Decay does a really good job at coming out with a really nice, fun, exciting collection that isn't centered around the holidays, but it is like a holiday collection in a way. So yeah, the Urban Decay Stoned Vibes palette, probably one of the more exciting palettes that came out last year, in my opinion. And also one of the more exciting palettes that we've seen from Urban Decay. I love these shadows over here, these jeweled shadows. They're kind of a mix between their Moondust shadows and regular shimmery shadows. And then I feel like they did a good job placing the matte shades that they did. You can definitely get a nice variety of different looks with this palette, so I really like that about it. I am really wanting to use the Naked Heat. I haven't used Naked Heat in a long time, so I'm going to go in with Low Blow from Naked Heat and placing that in my crease, just kind of going back and forth. Yeah, I used to use this palette all the time, and like kind of my go-to look was just putting a matte shade all over my eyelid and then taking it up underneath and then just doing some mascara, and that was that. I'm gonna go in with Cayenne right here. It's like a bit deeper and a little bit more red and brown, and I'm taking that on a smaller blending brush And I'm applying that in my crease, kind of getting it like hugging that lash line, but only on the outer corner really. And then my favorite shade out of this palette is Tiger's Eye. So I'm gonna take Tiger's Eye from the Stoned Vibes palette. I'm going to be using my finger to apply this shade, and I'm just applying it straight to my eyelid. Oh my god, it's so pretty. It is so pretty. And I love these shades too. They're kind of like a duochrome, so I feel if you have different bases underneath, like maybe a dark base, it'll come up looking so different. They're really, really beautiful. They're really nice and smooth, and they show up really beautiful and shimmery and reflective. They're so pretty. I'm actually going to take a little bit of Hexed from this palette. It's like a deep brown, and I'm taking that on a little pencil brush, and I'm going to apply it right on my lash line. I just want a little bit more depth right there, and I'm gonna maybe try, yeah, I'm bringing it up a little bit on that V. Then I'm going to go back in and kind of blend those out and blend out my crease. Yeah, that's looking so pretty. I'm very happy with that. I'm just taking a little bit of Tiger's Eye on like a small pencil brush, and I'm just making sure I'm getting the inner corner really well so the look can be a bit more complete looking. And then this shade Ounce from the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette is actually a great brow bone shade. So I'm taking a little bit on an eyeshadow brush, and I'm placing that on my brow bone. Okay, cool. I'm actually really happy with this eye look. I love how it came out. I definitely think that Tiger's Eye from the Stoned Vibes palette definitely makes this look. The next product I'm going to use is the Urban Decay Lash Freak. I don't know what Urban Decay was thinking when they released this mascara, but I really don't like it. I did get this mascara in PR. This was actually, I'm pretty sure, like the first Urban Decay PR product that I got, and I was kind of like, I don't want to say I was disappointed, but I was pretty disappointed. But then I got the Stoned Vibes palette, and that was like way cool. But yeah, I am going to apply a little bit of the Lash Freak. The wand on this mascara is wild, and it doesn't really make sense to me. It gets so much product buildup on it, but I don't know. I've seen some people like it. If I'm not careful, there will be so much product on these lashes. Okay, so it was looking good, and then I got like a glob of product right on my lashes. My lashes don't look bad right now actually, but I was having to be very careful, and that's just not something that I really want to do. I don't really want to bother with that. I do have a little small size of the Urban Decay Perversion mascara, which I also don't like. I kind of feel like the Perversion, although the wand is really big, I don't know if it really does enough for me, but it is working kind of nicely right now to separate my lashes out, which is sort of just what I need right now. But my lashes do look really good, so that's that. I just don't really, I never ever use the Lash Freak. I'm just really not a fan of it for every day, but it's looking pretty good right now, so I'm not totally mad at it. And I'm just going to apply a little bit of product underneath of my lash line, my lower lash line. I do want to add just a little bit of brow gel through my brows. So the next product I have to share is for my cheeks, and this is the Stay Naked Threesome in the shade Fly, or the Trio Fly. So it has your bronzer, your highlight, and your blush. I felt like this combo, this trio, was best suited for my skin tone, and it looks pretty nice. It's been a long time since I've used this brush from Real Techniques. This is the Rebel Edge Broad Brush. So I'm actually going in with the bronzer. It is kind of powdery, which that's not my favorite. Keep in mind, I have not powdered my face yet. I will do that kind of like towards the end, I think. But yeah, I'm just going to kind of apply this bronzer shade all over. Ooh. It's kind of intense. Maybe I shouldn't have used this brush. The only thing about this bronzer is that it does have quite a bit of red in it, which isn't that big of a deal. But sometimes red tone bronzers can be a little bit intense. I feel like I've forgotten how to use this brush. Maybe I shouldn't have used it. I might switch. Actually, no, that's looking pretty nice. But yeah, this bronzer also has a little bit of like a satin finish, which I do prefer in my bronzers. I think I am going to switch. I'm using now the light layer powder brush from Real Techniques, and I'm just going to kind of finish off the job. All right, and I know I didn't use a brush for my makeup earlier, but I'm just cleaning up my jawline because that bronzer got a little bit messy. Now this highlight, I would say, is kind of a bit darker than I typically go for, and lately I haven't really been doing highlight anyway, but because it is a little bit darker, I am going to be applying the highlight underneath of my blush so that it can blend out a bit better and I don't have to worry about the product kind of being a bit too noticeable. I would rather it kind of look like a lit from within glow rather than a glow that's just kind of sitting on top of my skin. And now I'm going to go in with my blush. I am using my Real Techniques blush brush for the blush. I'm just applying it to the top of my cheek. But yeah, the whole palette, like going down from bronzer to highlight to blush, is rather powdery, so you do need to top off your brush quite a bit when using the products. I don't have an Urban Decay powder. I know that they do foundation powders, and then they do have some of like their sort of loose powders that they do come in colors, which is kind of cool. I just have not ever tried one of those, and I'm not really interested in trying one either. I'm just not a huge powder person, and I also would really like to go through the powder that I already have. So I'm just applying a little bit of my translucent powder from Anastasia. This brow, I want it to have like a little bit more color right in there. So I'm just taking the brow blade, but the pen side. Yeah, that's exactly what I want. Okay. I'm gonna do the same on this side. I really need to get my brows done. I'm just not sure I'm going to do that right now. But I'm kind of also liking how they're looking. They're really, really full right now. They're like way full than they've ever been. So Urban Decay lip liners, they used to be my go-tos, but then I kind of realized that they are just like a little bit softer than what I prefer. I definitely prefer a wooden liner. That's kind of why I love like my MAC liners, and I love the Buxom liners, and I really like the NYX Dazed and Diffused lipsticks. They're lip liners in my opinion. But the Urban Decay lip liners, they're glide on lip pencils, which they are doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. I just think I realized that they are a little bit too soft for me, but I am going to swatch the ones that I have. This is 1993, which is gorgeous. It's like a nice pinky brown nude. It does have like a little bit of mauve in it, which kind of it makes it like not my favorite pinky brown nude, just because it has a little bit of that like mauve purple little bit, you know what I'm talking about. The next shade is Manic, which is definitely a bit more pink. I really like this next one. It is Liar, which definitely does have a little bit more purple in it. The next shade is Rush, which is a little bit like a pinky purple with some shimmer in it. And then this shade, which is really nice, and I'm not too familiar with, it is the shade Uptight, which I actually really like. Why I need to move this up to my, like, you know, everyday products. I think I should definitely get more use out of it. I'm going to go ahead and give it a sharpen, and I'm actually going in with Uptight. And I'm going to mix in a little bit of 1993. And adding a little bit of balm. And my last step is to use arguably the best product that Urban Decay has ever released. Even though I know that this is kind of like Scandinavia repackaged, but it's still like the best product that Urban Decay has. I feel it's so good. But I am going to just spritz it all over my face. Never gets old. It never ever gets old. What you could even do sometimes is like lightly press the spray into the skin. And I think that even like helps it last even longer. And it even just makes it look even better too after you get the spray on. So that is my final look of the full face of Urban Decay. I feel very comfortable in this makeup. It makes me feel very good and very beautiful, and I know that it is going to look very nice and fresh all day. My eyeshadow looks so good. Even my lips look really good, and I am very happy that I rediscovered that lip liner in Uptight because I am going to be wearing it a lot more often. I felt like the other lip liner colors, although they are pretty, they just weren't suiting my skin tone as much as I would have liked, or I'm just not super into those kinds of colors anymore. But Uptight is so, so pretty, and I think the combination of Uptight and 1993 look really, really good. But yeah, even my lashes look really good considering I do not like the Lash Freak from Urban Decay, but it kind of pulled through today. It's kind of looking pretty good. I am just going to go ahead and do a wear test on this, especially because I know a lot of you guys will be interested in the Tinted Hydrator from Urban Decay. So I am going to do a wear test, and I actually am going to have to run an errand, so I will have a mask on. I never expect my makeup to last with a mask on. You just have to know that up front. I do not expect, like, I always get little mask lines on my cheeks. So that most likely will happen, but you know, we can still see if it's creasing around the smile lines, where else it's fading, kind of that sort of thing. The time right now is 1:10, so it's like about 1 o'clock, and it probably will be a couple hours until I check in again, maybe not even until like later in the evening. So I will check back in a bit later to kind of show you guys how the makeup is wearing. But yeah, I think everything looks beautiful. I feel really good. I feel like my skin is looking really good. I'll go ahead and do a nice close-up. So yeah, here is the close-up of what my skin is looking like at 1 o'clock, so you guys can see that. So yeah, I am going to head out, I'm gonna run my errands, and then I'll be back later to show you guys how the makeup is holding up. Hi everyone, the time right now is 8 p.m, so I've had this makeup on for several hours, quite some time, and this is what my makeup is looking like right now. Remember, I did set my makeup with powder, so this is what my makeup is looking like. It is kind of oily, and like I said earlier, I did run an errand earlier, so I was wearing a mask, and you can kind of see where I was telling you guys I get the little mask thing. So yeah, that did happen. I didn't end up fixing it just because I wasn't too worried about it, but I am kind of going to go back over it just to see. I think it will end up looking fine, but eyebrows are looking fine, so the brow blade definitely held up throughout the day, and also my eyeshadow is looking really good, so the Primer Potion definitely works, and my mascara is also looking really nice. Like my lashes are still nice and bold and curled, and I didn't get any mascara flaking, which is good. And then as far as the skin tint, which I've been loving recently, it looks really good. Like I said, my T-zone is pretty oily, but that's expected. I have just a little bit of creasing right over here on my smile line, as you can see, but other than that, I think everything looks really good. And underneath my eyes, I have the teeniest bit of creasing as well, but that doesn't really bother me. and I don't really have any fading that I can see. I have a little bit of fading on my chin, but I was wearing a mask earlier, so yeah. But I think overall everything is looking good. I really love these products. I love Urban Decay as a brand as a whole, so they're just an awesome brand. They make awesome products, and my full face is looking good, and I'm happy with the results after a long day. But that is going to be it for me today. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you aren't already subscribed, definitely go ahead and do so, and hopefully I see you next time.